afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Wild Moments. My name's Kelly, and I'm going to be joined here with the fabulous Ben Coley for this afternoon show. Welcome, Ben.
Hello, thank you very much, Kelly. Hello, everybody. Very excited to see what clips we have on offer for everybody today.
How have you been, Ben? Tell me all your news. What have you been up to? Where have you been? How are you doing?
I've been getting frustrated with clouds, trying to look at the night sky and struggling this time of year. Otherwise, what else have I been up to? I'm trying to think. I haven't done too much visiting. I've had a couple of weekends away out into the bush, seen some pretty amazing things. Thank you very much. Always nice to get out and about and have some great sightings. I've seen lion cubs and wild dogs and all sorts of fun things over the last week or two. What about yourself?
I have not had much bush time, sadly, but I have had the pleasure of viewing some of these stunning cameras that we're going to have a look at this afternoon. So just remember, this is live and interactive. Anyone that's watching, please send through your comments via YouTube. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the clips, any ideas. And from what I've learned, everyone needs to tell us what everyone's drinking. So today I have a ridiculously oversized bottle of water that's slightly tepid. What have you got, Ben?
Um, I'm also on the water. It's very warm in Hoodsport and has been for quite some time. It's I think about 36 or 37 degrees today, which is about 3 or 4 degrees cooler than yesterday. But definitely a good time to stock up on a bit of hydrating fluids.
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Who have we got? Amber Co. waving hello with coffee today, sending thanks to the team that makes these shows possible each week. I agree. Thank you very much, team behind the scenes. Thank you, Ben. Always learn so much from you. I agree, Amber Co. A font of knowledge is our Ben Coley. Andy says, good afternoon. It looks like I slithered in just in time. You did, Andy. You just made it in the nick of time. Bowl of kittens. Hi, everyone. Can't wait for the show. Grabbing a turmeric kombucha. That sounds delicious and very exotic compared to our two drinks of water. Karu, hi Kelly and Ben. You've got milk today. Good choice. Good choice. Mindy Tillapal. Can't wait to talk about the Python clip. This Python, Ben. I assume you're aware of the Python. The Python style.
I am aware of the Python. It has been mentioned once or twice over the last week, but big news. I mean, that's the beauty of these cameras, as we all know. You never know what you're going to see, and that is not something that you see every day. So those of you who don't know what we're talking about, stay tuned, because I imagine there will be much Python conversation forthcoming.
Absolutely. I think it's all very reptilian today. Casper's third ghost. Good Thursday, Ben and all. Ready from an icy Milwaukee. Hot coffee ready for the show. We're staying off the hot coffee. It's quite warm here, but excellent choice for your climate. Casper's third ghost. April Owl, good morning from an icy Connecticut. Raspberry tea by your side, and you're very happy to be here. We're very happy you're here too, April Owl. Sasky, good morning from sunny Florida. Welcome to everyone. And once again, Ben, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. So I think let's jump in straight away to our first clip, the much discussed Python from Tembe. Let's have a look and see what's happening with this now.
Yeah, I've seen multiple bits and screenshots, but I haven't actually seen the official video, so I'm looking forward to this.
Jolly upset Impalas to start with.
Yeah, shame just staring at it, but not much they can really do in this situation. That is a big snake.
It is a very big snake. Oh, that's actually quite difficult to watch. Apologies for anyone watching. Ben, I'm getting a bit of a wimp in my old age. This never used to disturb me, but I get quite upset now when I see this.
I thought for a second that it was sort of twitching in death throes, but I think in fairness, the video is sped up, which made it look a little bit worse than it was. But you can just see the side. I mean, that thing looks to be well, about that sort of size, and
at
just the
least.
sheer force and muscle in there. Those poor things. Obviously, being a constrictor, there's no venom per se in there. But as I understand it, never actually experienced it. But yeah, it's not so much of the crushing, but it's just that every time that poor animal exhales, it squeezes a little bit tighter until such time that it just can't take a breath. Must be a horrible
Mm,
way to go. Are they going to try and walk the head in?
I'm not. Oh, okay. So that's its head. It's really difficult to. That's its head that's sort of squirming forward now. You think, is it? I think it must be the head of the
I,
snake and
I
the head
think
of the impala.
I think the head of the impala is facing us, and the head of the snake, well, we'll see better
Mm.
here, was facing away because they're all
They're my
swallowing it
favourite birds.
headfirst.
Look at those guys. Popped in to say hi. They're my
Stop looking at the
favourite birds.
guinea fowl.
Sorry.
But it is an absolute miracle how a snake that size can even attempt to swallow a young impala like this.
Yeah, I think those you can see those horns sort of pointing backwards, and that huge snake is trying to.
But it's amazing. Obviously, with all this going on, I've been doing a little bit of reading on pythons and snakes in general. And it is amazing to just try and figure out the mechanisms of how they can swallow such big prey. A lot of people say that the jaws can be dislocated, which is not actually true. They're just their quadrate bones, which are the jaw bones, are really far back, allowing them to open their mouth really wide. But the weird thing is those bottom jaw, it's not fused at the chin like ours are. They're two separate entities. So they can separate and the skin stretches and they can flex in the middle. And then the front ones are, they can sort of move forward and backwards, and the front bit moves forward like a conveyor belt, and the side ones move forward, and it sort of walks that prey into the mouth part, which is it's terrifying to think that
See
something that
that
size could potentially swallow something this size.
that was a nice image we saw just there. You could see that mouth sort of trying to get over those horns. I mean, I wonder. It's also interesting to see. There's been lots of birds come to have a look at what's going on here. I've seen 3, 4 species of birds come to investigate. See, that looks like it's uncoiling now. I wonder
Well,
at
so
what point
as we both,
go on.
sorry, Kelly, go on.
I wonder at what point they go, okay, this is a bad idea. I mean, should it not be? Because those horns, as you looked at them, from that shot I saw, were wider. I understand snakes can, as you say, they don't dislocate their jaw. It just stretches, but it looked wider, and their jaw can't stretch like that far sideways, can it?
No, I'm not sure. It was very hard to see exactly what was going on there. I know you've seen the report as well, and for anybody who hasn't, the snake was rescued and looked at because they were worried that it was injured, and there were reports that it was badly injured around its cloaca, which is basically its bottom, which is down the about two-thirds of the way down the snake. So quite why it was injured there or how it was injured there, unless it was a pre-existing injury, I think we're all still trying to work out. Obviously, we've only got the information that was given to us, but I've seen photos of it with those horns sticking out through sort of the back of the neck somewhere here. And then if a snake decides that it can't swallow it, it will regurgitate it. And the biggest mystery to me is how do you regurgitate something when you've got two horns sticking through the back of your throat? I know they have a very movable esophagus, but yeah, I see there. You can see, yeah, how it got its jaws over those horns. I really don't know. But it must
Mindy
have done some
Tillerville.
injury to the back when those horns came out. So whether the cloaca injury is something that happened to be a problem that the snake also had, I'm not sure.
Minty Tillipal saying, based on what the horns look like, what kind of antelope is this? I think it's a young male impala, Ben. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. It looks like a sort of a yearling Impala with those straight horns. That's about 1 year old. Would have been born November, December, January last year, I would think. So not a small thing. Yeah.
No, Bridget McKinney saying hi everyone. You can see raw skin by its cloaca that looks old. I wasn't looking at the back end. I did think I saw something pale. Yeah, Bridget McKinney, you're right. It does look like there's almost scarring towards it. It's just disappeared into the grass bank. Can you see it there?
Yeah, I did. And actually, when we saw it moving away, yeah, you can
There.
see there. Yeah. So maybe that is a pre-existing injury. I'm sure it did do some damage to its neck as well, but they have very flexible skin, so and it will heal very, very quickly. So maybe whatever it did to itself in the regurgitation process was not considered particularly life-threatening. But yeah, I must have had a pre-existing problem.
But that is and it seemed to leave quite quickly. It slithered on off into the bush. It didn't seem, to be too
Hmm.
perturbed by. I'm sure it was very perturbed by having horns stuck
Yeah.
through its body. But the way it slithered away, it looked fine. So hopefully, um,
And I
uh,
believe they're rehabilitating it with the intention of releasing it into the wild. But I see we can see now where the horns are actually sticking out through the skin.
yes,
I was always of the impression that when this happens, because it does happen, that actually the stomach acids would eat through the horns would drop off, and everything would go according to plan. But having done a bit of digging around and a bit of research on this, it seems that because those keratin sheaths don't respond very well to stomach acids, why hyenas and predators, we find bits of hoof and
mm,
other horn and things in their dung, and hyenas regurgitating those sort of fur balls, that often isn't the case. So they wouldn't actually eat, the acid wouldn't eat through and fall off. From what I've read, it seems to be that if that is the case and the snake realizes it's not going to get anywhere, it will attempt to regurgitate that prey item and give it up, which seems to be what happens. But I was always told that if and when that happened, the acid would eat through the horns, they'd fall off, and the skin would heal. But it seems that isn't the case.
I would have thought it would have taken quite a long time to have open wounds there while acid burnt horns away. But I mean, the way that snake disappeared off, maybe it's going to be fine. The report we saw, as you said, it did say there was an old injury, but I'm now starting to believe that maybe the statement was discussing the old injury to its cloaca, which was old, and there's hardly any mention of the injury to the horns coming out. So hopefully it was how superficial an injury can be when something pierces from your stomach out your body. Makes me think of Alien. Is that the right film, Ben? Alien?
It does sound very alien-like, yes, absolutely. If in doubt, if
Um,
it's got air ducts in it, it was an alien film.
I think so. But so hopefully, if we do get any more updates from anyone, we will definitely pass it on. Oh, hi, Bob from Kalamazoo. Good afternoon, good day to everyone. Happy to hear from you, Bob from Kalamazoo. Sasky Brenda, when the snake had swallowed the head of the impala, including the horns, and was near the shoulders and was pushing the legs forward to swallow, the horns pierced through and it couldn't go further and regurgitated. Okay, I think that's pretty much, there's definitely some horns going through skin. But hopefully the fact that it wasn't mentioned in the report means our snecky's going to be fine and well, because a python that size, I mean, 20 plus years old, Ben, do you think? I'm not sure. How long do they live in the wild?
I wouldn't have a clue in terms of age, but and I mentioned this I think on Tuesday when we were talking about it, but I mean I've been spending time out in the bush, got a lot of time out in the bush for nearly 20 years, and pythons that size, that ones that take
Mm,
up the entire road and the head and the tail are still in the grass on either side. I think I've seen maybe four in 20
mm.
years. So that sort of size python is not very common. So yeah, let's hope that he can be returned. She can be returned and continue going on to wow people.
Mindy, you're also saying I still can't understand the mechanics of how they could try and swallow something with horns without being impaled. Nor can I, to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest. Horns are
I
pointed
can
here.
almost understand the swallowing, because if it's going in head first, the horns are pointed backwards at least, which would sort of help it go down the throat. But then to regurgitate it, if that's the snake's body and the horns have gone in, I can't do it like, okay, if that's his mouth, the horns will be down like, will be like this, and then to pull it out, it would have to. Well, maybe that's how it does it. Sort of manipulates it
Yeah.
and slides the horns out. I don't know.
Um, Tim's asking what would happen if it did swallow it? Would it just sit there? What do you think, Ben?
Well, I think from what I know, I mean, they have such a hectic stomach acid, one pH of 1, 2. Yeah, whether or not, this is what I was trying to find out. I think if it did get down into the stomach proper and could start getting digested, the whole thing would get a little bit smaller, and maybe the stomach acids would begin to sort of change the consistency or get in underneath the keratin, and eventually the bone, in theory, I guess, would be eaten through by the acids. These are stories that I've heard, but I'm now beginning to doubt them, having done a bit more research on them. So, as I said, from what I've found out, majority of the time, if those horns are becoming a problem, it's just going to give it up and move away. So, but a big prey item that didn't have horns of that size, yeah, it would just, well, you and I know we've both seen a python that we think swallowed maybe a dacre that looked as if it had eaten a medicine ball, and it was fine. It was lethargic, shall we say?
Full.
It was certainly full. But yeah, that's a great meal for the snake.
Um, Bowl of kittens. Any idea how common this occupational hazard is? And is it a common cause of death for larger pythons as larger prey has larger horns? That's a really interesting point. Bowl of kittens. I would say it's a fairly common occupational hazard, but remember, just because they're big snakes, it doesn't necessarily mean they always eat big things. I know if I was a big snake, I'd have chomped one of those guinea fowl if I'd been quick enough, and then you could have probably digested it in a couple of days. Because when snakes are taking big prey, it's a risk for them. With horns, they can't move. It takes longer to, as Ben said, it's not like, well, I suppose it is suffocating, but it's more, it takes longer to squeeze all the air out of them, and they're more likely to get kicked. So I would say if I was a snake anyway, I'd probably choose slightly less difficult prey items than going for the impalas or other larger antelopes. But I would say it is an occupational hazard that they should probably rather avoid. Bowl of kittens.
It's not something you hear very often. So,
No.
I mean, it generally speaking, this sort of thing happens in thick vegetation, but we don't see these types of snakes very often. So maybe it happens more than we realize, and we just don't get to see it. But do they eat big things? Yes. But I know, say, one story of one that swallowed a male impala, but as I say, I'm beginning to doubt the authenticity of some of the details that were passed on to me now. I think, as Bowl of Kittens suggests there, if in doubt, take a female impala next time.
That's exactly what I would have said. Pick a female impala. Tris, Vsop. Hello everyone. Better late than never. We've actually been talking, Ben, for 18 minutes about this.
Oh wow, we should probably watch another clip
we should
then.
probably move on a little bit. From the Tenby python, let's go to a different python having a swim, I believe, around Rosie's Pan somewhere. Not related to this Impala incident.
A much more reasonably sized python, this one. Let's see if he's going to go for a swim.
It's quite difficult to get scale sometimes, isn't it, with the cameras? I mean, that could be a
yeah, I suppose it could be
80
anything from
centimeter
about.
python or a 2 meter python.
It's amazing how comfortable snakes are in the water. Obviously, we have sea snakes, which are designed for that purpose, but I suppose they are perfectly adapted in terms of streamlining for water, and so python's quite happy in the water. I've seen a puff adder swimming before, and a few other
Hmm.
snakes over the years.
Having a nice little dip there. Now, we've been given some information. I'm not sure who the longest viewer is that is currently with us this afternoon. I don't think it's going to be me, and I don't think it's going to be Ben. But has anyone heard of a Monty Python at Rosie's Pan? I've heard of a Monty Python growing up in the UK. I'm sure lots of other people out there know it well. But has anyone ever seen? Apparently, there was a big python that used to hang around at Rosie's Pan. This little guy's had a lovely dip, hey?
That rectilinear motion as he's
Yeah.
pulling himself out.
That's really fun to watch, especially in puff adders, and they almost look like they're walking from the inside.
But yeah, amazing thing. What I'm a dweeb, so I've been looking into this sort of thing. But apparently, snakes, even like a python, can hold their breath for at least half an hour. And some of those sea snakes, which obviously are designed for that type of lifestyle, can hold their breath for hours and hours and swallow their prey underwater. Slightly different adaptations, but it suddenly occurred to me because I know of pythons swimming. I've seen it happen before. I know somebody who trod on a python in a waterhole whilst we were frogging once. No harm was done. Nobody was bitten, but that was a surprise. It was quite a lot of reeds around. But yeah, I suddenly thought, how long can they stay underwater? And a lot longer than you might have thought. But slow metabolism, good
Mm.
ability to deal with low oxygen levels in the blood, perfect streamlined body, so it doesn't expend much energy to move. So it makes perfect sense.
Jojo is asking, are pythons territorial?
I might hand this one over to you, Kelly.
That's a shame. I was going to hand that one over to you. My gut says yes.
Mine would too. They're often seen in the same place. I know other
Mhm.
snakes are definitely territorial, so whether some species are and aren't, but I would assume yes.
The fact that Monty Python the Python was being seen at Rosie's Pan for a couple of years. And I know mambas are known to be territorial. JJ, my gut is saying yes, but feel free to get on that Google box and correct us if we're wrong. But my gut says yes. Tris, thank you very much for your input this afternoon. It's super helpful. This python probably looks smaller than Monty. Tris, did you see Monty Python? That's starting to sound weird now. I'm saying it so many times. Jan Powers, yes, Monty Python was very good at hunting on a tree. That must have been very cool to watch. And Mindy says Monty camouflaged to look like a tree branch and came adept at catching birds. That's I'm kind of sad. I think I might go back and have a look at some Monty Python reruns. That wasn't even intention. Monty Python rerun.
Well played.
Yeah, well played. But well, hopefully we might have a new resident Python at Rosie's Pan, and we'll have to come up with another name. But I'm actually really enjoying these snakes this afternoon. We've got 7 minutes left. I think let's pop over to Tao and have a look at a different reptilian that's been giving us some excitement recently.
I'm looking for said reptile. I'm hoping that something's going to launch out of the water at any moment.
Need some like tense music playing or something.
Yeah, Jaws music in the background. Oh. This reminds me, I don't know if you ever saw that
I know what you're going to say.
that little video of the wildebeest coming down, poking the log, having an argument, is it a log or a crocodile? It still makes me laugh. It's like those when animals eat McDonald's. That also still
Yes,
makes me laugh.
I know that one as well.
Stick, crocodile, stick, crocodile. So if you don't know
Where
what we're
is
talking about, go and have a look. Where is this crocodile?
where is this crocodile? And he also knew Monty, Monty the bird catcher extraordinaire. And yeah, this is, see, I find myself peering at
Yes,
times
I'm
like
getting
this.
closer and closer to
Yeah,
the
I get
screen.
closer and closer, then they come back to us and we can see our faces far too clearly.
Well, don't forget they can see us all the time. Just remember
Ooh.
that. I'm beginning to think this was a ruse just to make us stare at the screen
Yeah,
and look
maybe it
funny.
was. Maybe they were just testing our resilience and patience.
But I do. Whoa, whoa.
I saw this. I saw this, and I nearly said a rude word actually because I was also fairly intensely focused at the screen at the time. Um, but those crocodiles at Tao are big now, hey? They're huge.
Yeah, because you've spent some time up there. Hey, you worked at Tower for a while.
I've spent quite a bit of time up there, and I'm sure when I was there in 2013, well, I'm sure I've told this story before, but it's too late now. We got in there. We got in that waterhole to clear reeds. There was I can't remember, there was some sort of invasive plant in there. And we got in there to clear it. And we had, maybe I shouldn't be saying this on reflection. One of us would sit on it was like an inflatable like thing. And one of the boys would push us through the water trying to clear these reeds at once. So basically there was people in there with the crocodiles when we got there, and I'm not sure there'd be people going in there now. Hey, those crocodiles, they weren't any more than a meter, including their tail, in 2013.
And those things scare me more than anything else. People talk about buffaloes and all sorts out here, but crocodiles petrify me. I mean, the fact that wildebeest, which are supposed to be pretty switched on, they are prey animals, and they did not see this crocodile that was 30 centimeters from their face, just shows you. I always say that I always put crocs, snakes, scorpions, spiders, sharks,
Mm.
all in that group. They have not evolved for hundreds of millions of years. And I always say it's the epitome of it's not broken, don't fix it. It works. It's worked for as long as, well, since before there were dinosaurs, we've basically had crocodile type things. It's had a long time to practice what it does. And that's one thing I've never seen. I've never seen that. I've never been up and seen the migration or the crossing of the Mara or anything like that. But I've never seen a croc actually come flying out of the water and grab something. I've seen crocs eating things, but I've never seen that moment of impact.
No, it's as you say, they're absolutely perfect. Bridget McKinney loved Monty Python series. Yeah, I'm a big fan. So was my mum. And apparently the python, Monty Python, was nickname was given to. Oh, Tris, you named Monty. Brilliant. That's where the name comes from. But no, crocodiles I've heard somewhere, and I don't know if it's a rumor or a myth. Everyone's talking about Monty Python over there now in the chat. I don't know if it's a myth or an urban legend, but I once heard there's only two wild animals that actively, regularly hunt humans. And one is a polar bear and one is a crocodile. And a tip I was always given, if you have to cross a river in Africa, cross at a different point. If you get stuck and you have to cross rivers to go and collect food or bring supplies back or whatever, if you ever get stranded, if you're crossing a river once, cross there, and then next time cross it 200-300 meters further down, because apparently they watch and they wait, is what I
I've
was
also
told.
heard the same thing that they learn routine very quickly. So it's that first time should be fine. Second time the croc's going, hang on a minute, and the
Mm.
third time it's there waiting for you. So I've also been advised. But to be honest, if I don't have to get into water
Mm.
here, I would rather not, because as I said, those things terrify me. It's the perfect killing machine.
It is the perfect killing machine indeed. Grumpy old man, Crocodile, yes, Crocodile, and Bob from Kalamazoo, Kelly, the Ministry of Silly Walks. I am aware also of the Ministry of Silly Walks. As did Ben, I would have thought, being also growing up with a bit of Monty Python there. We are rapidly running out of time, unfortunately. Casper's third ghost. You lost your roast on this one yesterday as I cried. Oh, you had your roast on your lap. It was yesterday, wasn't it? I was watching that live and lots of people heard me squeak, oh my goodness, when that croc came out. I was peering at the camera live and Casper's third ghost lost their roast. Well, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, you never know what's around the corner. But I think we're pretty much out of time, everyone. We have had a lot of reptilian talk today. Thank you all so much for joining us to chat about the reptiles and the Python saga. And most of all, Ben. Ben, what a star. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks everybody for your questions and comments. I think I may go and rewatch some old Monty Python's things now after all of this talk. But thank you as well, Kelly. Always a pleasure to spend time with you and everybody else.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining, everyone, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.